All right. Coming in
Welcome
live.
in.
Here we are. Welcome, welcome.
What's going on? Hope you all are having a great day, whatever you're doing. Hopefully you're enjoying this while you're doing the laundry, washing the car, driving, whatever you're doing, whatever you're doing.
Whatever you're doing.
Good, good day.
Th- This is a little bit like random, club random from Bill Maher, at least in name, thinking that I'm just gonna play random royalty-free music as an intro. So you never know what you're gonna get. So we're just gonna be switching it up every episode, a new royalty-free song.
That's
Until
right.
we until we yeah,
And I'm never gonna know what we're gonna get because Luis is the disc jockey
always.
of of this group. So um along for the ride.
Absolutely. So let me go ahead and turn the music down here. Now, as you might have noticed, if you watched episode one, episode two, we're still rocking different sports gear. I gotta ask, Nick, what are you rocking right now? What is that? What are you representing?
Yeah, I'm representing the Manchester City Football Club, and I hear the boos uh, washing down upon us. This is uh this is a team that I've supported for a long time, even predating the Renaissance that they've had. And I know that's sort of like saying that you root for the Yankees, but alas, here I am. I root for Manchester City, so looking forward to Champions League soccer starting back up this month. Little
Nice.
knockout stage action happening. So that's exciting. And what sports team are you representing today there, my friend?
Representing my beloved Marlins, Miami Marlins, which I must add the caveat that I started being a fan of the Miami Marlins when they were the Florida Marlins, and I didn't live in Miami. I lived in Orlando, and so I felt like there was a natural affinity to a team that represented the whole state. But now that I'm living in Miami, I can appreciate Miami and still root for the Marlins. But yeah, two-time World Series championship Miami Marlins. It's worth mentioning.
Love that. Love that. I'm trying to think through why they changed names. There's no other Florida baseball team that I'm forgetting, correct?
You are. It's the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, I am wrong. Yeah. How can I
Hmm.
forget the Rays?
Yeah, they're always sneaky good, but their fan base is tough. Tough. They have literally the worst arena in MLB. I actually went there once with a buddy, and I mean it's just a dome. Like everything that's beautiful about baseball, like having the field out there, just the vibe, the sounds,
Mhm.
even some of the indoor outdoor sort of hybrid stadiums, they still sort of keep this open feel that I find baseball fields very majestic in major league. But the the Rays literally just, I mean, it's a dome, it's a repurposed dome. And they've been in
Mhm.
there since their inception. So it's kind of strange. We'll see if they stay there though. There's a lot of talks about them
Yeah,
moving.
now that you're talking about the I think the Tropicana or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
I
Tropicana
remember
Field or
all the videos of Bryce Harper hitting balls um, off of the end of the stadium. So you hear like the moonshots that hit the catwalk and like the rafters at the top of that stadium, but he was
oh wow.
hitting baseballs that hit the back wall of the stadium, like that kind of power. But yeah, you don't have to worry about that whenever you've got an outdoor stadium.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just rearrange some like my liquor here because I'm realizing
Um,
if people are watching, I don't want them to be misrepresented. This is something that probably should be thrown away. Um,
Understood.
oat
Oh,
oat nog because my wife is lactose intolerant, newly lactose intolerant. So someone gave her that. Got to put the McAllen front and center there.
that's
I feel
right.
like
Got to
that's
give
much
it
more
its
accurate.
spot on the pedestal. I'm curious,
Mhm.
maybe this isn't the time to go over this, but how one, like, is one diagnosed as lactose intolerant late in life, or do they develop lactose intolerance? This is
It's a great
interesting.
It's a great question. This is why we're the number one podcast for health related inquiry, for instructional design, higher education, sports, travel, gastronomy. We're just going to add a very long list of topics that we can talk about. But there's this interesting theory that you sort of always have certain allergies that might have stayed dormant for much of your life, but as you get older, they become much more pronounced. And so, lactose is one of those things where maybe a lot of people don't consider themselves lactose intolerant, but like after a night of pizza, they don't feel too well or they have to go to the bathroom, all that stuff. Um, you're already showing levels of intolerance to dairy. You just don't know it, or you're not actually identifying it, right? You're just saying, it's just making me feel bad, but I'm still going to do it because it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of like desensitize yourself by doing something enough. I got you. I got you. 9 out of 10 doctors would recommend the Sip Score Saver podcast.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Whatever that other doctor is doing, don't
Crazy.
care. Don't listen to
Yeah.
them.
So, not to be very time sensitive for these podcasts, but might be worth mentioning here that Valentine's Day is coming around the
Mhm.
corner. I don't know when people are listening. They're probably listening to it after Valentine's Day, but Valentine's Day. And we are a gastronomical, for sure. That is definitely a category we want to tackle. We're not going to be everything to everybody, but gastronomy and talking a little bit about Valentine's Day and the nightmare of going to restaurants. Why has that become a trend?
Yeah, I think, well, Valentine's Day trends toward the marketing of whatever chocolate, getting flowers, jewelry, the greeting cards. So I'm sure that the restaurant industry, they say that they have like these killer specials, killer deals whenever you go out and dine on Valentine's Day, usually like in a pre-fee fixed price menu sort of situation that always disappoints. It's always super busy. If you can even get a table, you probably had to reserve that weeks and weeks in advance. And I don't know, for me, Luis, I'm a big and my fiance and I are big like let's just sit up at the bar, people. Let's walk
Mm,
in. It's hard to do in DC. You have to, even if it's like a random Thursday night, reservations are usually your best bet. But um, we're just not super big planners in that way. So if you're
right.
looking to go out on Valentine's Day, and just FYI, we're recording this the weekend before the weekend before Valentine's Day. I don't think that made any sense, but
Valentine's Day
before
is on a
the
Wednesday.
weekend.
So, yeah.
So I honestly have dropped the ball a little bit here. I don't have any sort of Valentine's Day plans, but that's okay because we don't plan to go out and eat. I plan to cook something nice at home, so there's a lot less runway needed for that. But what are your takes on this
Yeah,
topic?
I'm always surprised that more people don't opt to just like stay in because there's nothing more romantic than cooking together or cooking something for the
Mhm.
one you love. I think that's such a beautiful act. But I have actually worked in the service industry and restaurants for many years, right after my undergrad. And I gotta say, for most servers, and if there's any servers out there listening, you probably agree. It's one of the worst days to work at a restaurant because the restaurant as a concept was not built to have just nothing but two tops, right? Or just two seated tables. But
Mhm.
literally everyone on Valentine's Day is a table of two. And so suddenly now you have to sort of deconstruct your whole dining room. For most restaurants, you have to deconstruct your whole dining room and turn four tops, five tops, whatever it is, sheer diversity of number of tables, because that's how your restaurant functions, into two tops. And the truth is that even if it's packed, you're not packed to capacity as much as you could be if you weren't hindered by everyone being a party of two. And
That's a
so
really
that's,
good
yeah.
point. Does it mess up the kitchen as well? I'm just imagining if you have so many more tickets than usual because you're seating. more parties than usual. That's like a lot to sift through in a kitchen, I'm sure. Um, and yeah, I feel like it just people were on edge a little bit. They should be
Yeah,
more relaxed, but they like maybe they're kind of spending a lot of money. They're going out. They like are probably super demanding
yeah.
too. So I don't know. Has that been your experience as well in the service space?
Yeah, I got to tell you, it's hard for a restaurant, at least one of the bigger restaurants, right? I think maybe if you're a smaller restaurant concept, you can maybe get away with it. Um, but it's hard. There are definitely delays. There's definitely more stressors. People don't turn and burn, right? So a lot of restaurants function off of like people, especially parties of two, taking only about an hour and a half or less to dine in and out, right? I know there's more expensive restaurants that are, true experiences, and they expect people to be there for about 4 hours or more. But most restaurants don't function like that, right? Especially the restaurants that most people tend to go to enjoy Valentine's Day. And so the
Yeah.
whole process of turning the tables around becomes slower and it's stressful. And so, yeah, it's just basically what I'm trying to advocate. Why we're bringing this topic up is stay home, order, do something. Like there's so many more options. It's not the best dining day. You're not going to get the restaurant's best foot forward. I'll tell you that. You're not
Mhm.
going to get their best hit. And I feel like if you're going to spend money dining, you really want to be romantic. You want to make sure that that restaurant that you invest money in, you get the best. You get the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, but if you already have got a reservation on Valentine's Day, just tip your server well. I guess I feel like that's the bare minimum you can do. Tip well on that night. Know that like as you heard here, your servers are going to be super busy, and um, it's not it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, holidays always more than 20. I feel like
Yeah.
holidays the minimum becomes 30 just
Hmm.
because you're out and about. But that's not the only news we want to talk about. There's been some disruption out there in the hierarchy of the consumer satisfaction index for Costco and Trader Joe's. For the first time in about 5 years, Trader Joe's is not number one. Costco is. What do you think about that, Nick?
Wow. I think that I like both. So to start off, I like Trader Joe's a little bit more, and I'm a little bit naive to like what the consumer satisfaction index criteria are. But if I had my own satisfaction index, I would rate the experience being like 60%. Like what's your product? Like how good is your product? And to me, I really love Trader Joe's products. So they've been like kind of strangely like having a bunch of recalls lately, which maybe
I
damages that
wonder.
satisfaction a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
the other, so what did I give it? 60% product. The other 40%, I would love like being able to park somewhat easily, be able to maneuver around the store, like the quality of your stores and the people working there. So I think Trader Joe's for me, it's always got top-notch employees. They're always super into being Trader Joe's employees, I've noticed.
Yeah.
I've gotten like some of the greatest like ad hoc wine lessons of my life at a Trader Joe's and our local one in Alexandria. Sorry, that's where I live. Now you know.
Spoiler
No,
alert.
don't find me. But, uh, we have a kind gentleman who's a sommelier who kind of works at Trader Joe's on the side, and he's great, and he recommends killer wines. It's not happened to me at Costco, because when I'm at Costco, I just get the $7 or $8 bottle. Like the price could be different where you are, but like there's an $8 bottle of Prosecco,
Yeah.
and I just get that every single like multiple bottles of that every single time that I go. So love the Trader Joe's employees. Just to end this, the parking situation is terrible for either.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Costco lots are huge. but they're always super busy on the weekends, and Trader Joe's
Yeah.
slots are small and
Yeah.
similarly busy. So yeah, good luck. Um,
Yeah. I definitely think it's the times of like where, because Trader Joe's, you get a lot of good value, right? And I think for a lot of people, Costco is the same thing. Like if you're willing to buy in bulk, have a freezer, can do all that, it's a great value. And so I think there's definitely a desire for a lot of Americans to try to find that. And so the two supreme areas for groceries are those two entities for value. And so I find that interesting as an interesting component of like the top two are essentially value retail. So you don't get a lot of the fluff. Sometimes you have to deal with some headaches. Trader Joe's is built off of being sort of a smaller concept, and almost the complete opposite. Costco is built to be this huge warehouse, but in that it gets super packed, busy, and sometimes it's not a great experience. And I could say the same thing for Trader Joe's. You go into Trader Joe's when it's prime time, it like, and if you have to go back, right? If you forget something, like it always feels like you're forced to go the path like a ride, literally like a ride. Because if you have to go back and it's packed, what do you do? Like if
women
there,
upstream.
yeah, yeah. So sometimes I like find the corner to put my grocery cart, so I don't have to try to maneuver that too, and I just grab what I need real quick. But it's always hard because I always forget something. But yeah, Costco, to me, because they also have a lot of quality control for their product. Like they don't just sell everything, and
Mhm.
so they really try to pick things out specifically. They're going to sell. They're going to be popular. That people are going to be like, oh, this is good. This is good quality. So we actually got a couch recently from Costco, Thomasville couch, super exciting. So I
Mhm.
do like going to Costco, but I have to stop myself because it was getting to a point where we were going there every week, and that's just
Mhm.
horrible for your wallet. That's horrible. Like you cannot buy in bulk every week, right? It has to be. So we're trying to set up once a month. So once a month,
Mhm.
and then Trader Joe's is going to be the more regular weekly visit to try to balance that affordability factor. So
Absolutely.
kudos to America. Kudos to America. I
Yeah, I
love
think
it.
they got it right. I think
Yeah,
those are the top two. But it's funny, the one thing that these two places have in common for me is that by their design, you can't get everything that you might want there. They carry only certain brands. Trader Joe's, they don't carry any brands. They have their own. Um, if you've lived under a rock and never been to a Trader Joe's, maybe they're not in your area. Sorry,
yeah,
that was a little bit of shots fired at people who've never been to Trader Joe's, but they have their own brand of stuff
yeah.
and they carry one version of everything. So it's like you came for peanut butter.
Hmm.
I mean, they'll have like crunchy and smooth peanut butter, but they're not going to have like different brands that compete with one another on the shelves. Um, and so you might leave your Trader Joe's being like, I actually have to go to like Safeway now because I didn't get
Yeah,
uh the cereal that I wanted or something like that. So, but overall, I would take the inability to get some certain items over the uh the rephrase that it's okay that I can't get everything at Trader Joe's because the shopping experience is just so much better there.
love it. Love
Do you
it.
have a favorite Joe's item or a favorite Costco item? Maybe one of each if you know off the top of the dome.
Well, I have one for Trader Joe's right
Oh,
now. It's
so
these
good.
corn tortilla, chili and lime. It's like the perfect amount of kick. And I know they're really not good. Like I'm in my 30s. These are not good for me. Like I feel it after every bite, but they're so good. They're so perfect, perfectly spiced. And then for Costco, I do have some items that I buy regularly, but they have Zoas by The Rock, the energy drinks, and
Mhm.
so also not great for you.
Is that a Costco exclusive? I've not, I don't know if
It's
I've
not
seen it.
it's not a
No.
Costco exclusive, but the bulk, like you can't get that at grocery store either. Like you have to like buy it on Amazon or, and so Costco is the only like walk-in place near me that actually sells Zoa. But that's enough about retail. We got to get into sports. This is a sports podcast, so we got to get into sports. And so kind of our leading story is not what you're going to think it is. It's not the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about that, but it's actually women's basketball, women's college basketball. I should add.
Yeah, yeah. I think after the Super Bowl, right, the sporting world sort of flips. And I think the next things that I look forward to are the NCAA tournaments. And uh, definitely one of these things that we all look forward to is the conclusion of women's college basketball season, startup of WNBA leagues, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Luis, you have on our document here a particular athlete that you wanted to highlight here and uh, make mention of.
Well, it's two in particular, I should say. It's two in particular,
Oh,
but
sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna love it. They gotta hype it up as much as possible. I am, and I know that they're not really like clashing, uh, like like Magic or Johnson and uh, Larry Bird, like that sort of like rivalry, or like the Bulls and those bad boy Detroit Pistons
Mhm.
back in the day. But I kind of want them to really hype up Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark as a rivalry for college women's basketball, because they're
Mhm.
two different style of players, and this season they're both killing it. I really do believe Angel Reese is not getting her due. Her game reminds me a lot of old school basketball, like in the sense that it's about the ribbies, like you got to get the rebounds, but then you're scoring like high efficiency points in the paint. Like it's a pure like reminds me of the great some of the great centers. Like I don't know, like looking at her stats, and I know she doesn't play center, she plays forward, but it
Mhm.
kind of reminds me a little bit of Dwight Howard and his ability to just sort of always be solid in the stats. I can give you some assists, but I'm going to always give you more than 10 rebounds. I'm always going to get you more than 10 points. And just that consistency factor, then you build around that, and then you have a true team, right? But then you have a sort of Steph Curry, sorry, Steph Curry, um, uh, dynamic with Caitlin Clark, where she's just a pure scorer, right?
Yeah.
Her like the points themselves just stand out more than anything. But she's a solid distributor, and she does get involved in the rebound game. I want to see a rematch. I think, and it's so crazy, Nick, to think that these athletes essentially are, especially on the women's side, I think they're more profitable. Like they earn more money by being in college sports than when they go pro. I
Mhm.
hope. I think a lot of this magic will still linger when they both get drafted into the WNBA, but it just won't be the same. There's something beautiful about college sports, and we see it with college women's sports and the stars of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I hope we get another rematch. I actually hope we get to see that again.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw a headline come in a day ago that Reese through an NIL deal with Dre headphones that they gifted the men's and women's basketball team of LSU the Beats by Dre, right? Yeah, those are the headphones. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not a big headphones guy, so sorry if
yeah,
I misspoke about the type of headphones, but that's just so cool. And like you were saying, the NIL deals in the college sports definitely place a lot of it's pretty lucrative, right, for the women's college athletes.
yeah, yeah. It's awesome. So I gotta say, okay, here's the question. Here's the debate. If you had to build your team around either Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese, who would you pick and why? And is there a third player? Because I mean, I forget who, but I know there's a rookie out of Stanford right now that's lighting the world
Hmm.
on fire. And then like the University of South Carolina is just uh, like beast mode every season. Like they also potentially are viable candidates for the chip this year on the women's basketball side. I don't know, but that's the debate. Who would you pick if you had to pick one to build the foundation of your team? One already won a chip, by the way.
That's right. That's true. I mean, I lean toward the, known winner. It's hard to choose one over the other. I mean, but that is the decision that the WNBA teams are going to be looking at. I think Stanford's Cameron Brink
That's
is
what it is.
who you're
Yeah.
referring to, Yeah.
Hmm.
That yeah, again, really up and coming talent. So definitely want to give credit to both of these women, but
Hmm.
um I
This
think
is the year. This is the year for college women's sports, or especially college women's basketball.
it is incredible. And sorry, a little digression here
Yeah.
about this is timely. It probably won't be timely whenever this comes out, but what the heck, I'll just say it anyway. The Super Bowl weekend is this weekend, and
Hmm.
Caitlin Clark is on the cusp of breaking NCAA scoring record. So the games I'm seeing here are scheduled on the same day. So the Iowa Nebraska game is Sunday, and so too is the Super Bowl Chiefs versus 49ers. So ah, just one of those poor or just unfortunate scheduling uh mix-ups that those two things are on the same day. So it's a little bit overshadowed by the Super Bowl, her forthcoming breaking of the record. But um I think I'll go with um Angel Reese here to establish that rebounding and that physical advantage on my roster. What would you say?
So, for the sake of the debate, right? Because I could easily go both ways, and I'm a big lover of like the traditional game, right? Of just
Mhm.
like ribbies and high quality shots. I have to argue here for Caitlin Clark. She's just a game changer, right? And I love that both players have the swag. I think that's why they're such a good comparison. And I got to be honest with you, I feel like I know more women's college basketball players. Than I know men's college basketball players, and that's a little crazy, especially this year. This I feel the first year that I feel like I'm more in tap with that market than the men's basketball market,
Yeah,
which is really exciting. And I think Caitlin Clark is a huge reason for it. Um, you know, it's just the energy, the shots, the like from anywhere. And really, Steph Curry, in my opinion, really, I feel like started that. Like,
that's a
yeah,
good comp. Good comp.
yeah, I'm gonna shoot it from half court, and I'm gonna make it, just crazy shot, not high efficiency efficiency shots at all, but still making the buckets. Just the way playing the game, really loving it. I think she's a great team player. 7 assists, averaging 7 assists, 7 ribbies. So there's distribution there on her impact on the game and in Iowa specifically, and it's just energizing. And personally, yes, maybe you have the winning pedigree with Angel Reese,
Yeah.
but Caitlin Clark is also going to sell tickets, right? But I also admit that, I feel like that was what the Pelicans thought with Zion Williamson, and then injuries came along. And so
Mhm.
monitoring that is going to be important for both of them, making sure they don't get injured. But any WNBA team building around Caitlin Clark, I mean, then you have to look at the Golden State Warriors as your template. You have to get a splash sister, so to speak, to complement, that Caitlin Clark, along with a nitty gritty person, like someone who's just like a Dennis Rodman, right? Like, because I don't want to say Tristan Thompson, because I feel like if they had a Dennis Rod, which is so funny because they're both like troublemakers. I feel like they is Dennis Rodman reincarnated in Tristan Thompson, even though they're both alive at the same time, because they're both troublemakers for their teams. But
It's a weird
I,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. So
Was he a
that's
troublemaker before the Kardashians, or did we just like start
Oh man,
noticing,
you know what? Sorry,
you know?
Tristan Thompson. I'm thinking of it's not Clay Thompson. Oh my goodness, what am I? The uh
Klay Thompson is one of the Splash Brothers.
Yeah, yeah. There's Klay Thompson. I'm talking about the power forward who sometimes plays center, not that tall. Hit somebody.
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. Draymond Green. Sorry,
Sorry.
Draymond.
Yeah, I
Sorry,
love me some
Draymond.
Draymond though.
Yeah, Draymond
That's
Green and Dennis Rodman.
really,
Draymond Green and
yeah.
Dennis Rodman. Uh, Tristan Thompson can be forgotten about. It's okay. He's not as impactful. Um, but Draymond Green is definitely a troublemaker, like Dennis Rodman was a troublemaker. And it's so funny to see that both of them belong to these sort of dynasties. And so I think you need a player like that with Caitlin Clark. You need, a woman who's going to be a troublemaker in the paint. Who's just going for ribbies all the time, and is wild. And then that's the championship team. You get Caitlin Clark to chip right there with that team build out. Boom, you already got it.
Love it. I love it. Let's make it happen. Let's actualize
Yeah,
that in the WNBA. And
my
yeah, just
my dream to
lots of
run
star
a sports
power.
team.
Lots of star power right now in women's college basketball. So we'd love to see it. And um, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to the conclusion of those seasons a lot. Um, you know, I guess we can kind of openly proclaim our love of football, but we're not just a football podcast. We we love all of the sports.
All right. So kind of moving on here, because we want to leave the Super Bowl because we know we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. It's clearly a marquee event, but there's other things happening in sports that are worth covering, and it's the trade deadline. NBA trade deadline uh, is February 8th, right? So it was yesterday was the
Yeah,
deadline.
past. Yes.
It passed. So we're officially past at the opening of this podcast the deadline for the NBA trades. And so we thought it'd be fun to sort of talk about some of our favorite trades. So like Nick, I want your best trade that a team made and worst trade that a team made, and kind of talk why.
All right, let's see here. I'm obviously going to just focus on the deals made by the contenders, right? It was I think it was like a lukewarm kind of trade day, not anything that really blew my mind out of my skull kind of trades. But let's let's see here. I'm maybe focusing in on there's like a lot of little mini trades. Um, let's see, 76ers deal for Pacers Buddy Hield. That's like a pretty good move there by the 76ers, getting somebody who it's pretty good contributor, gets some points, some assists. And then the 76ers are obviously going to have to contend with uh, Joel Embiid being injured for a while. So, um, but yeah, we'll see there. That's I think anything that team can do because they're so good, man, you know? Um, it's been rough with the injuries, but such a good team. The 76ers
Okay.
are. Love to see them perform better. Um, so that's my trade of particular interest, just seeing the 76ers trying to not like have this year go super south.
So even though it didn't necessarily, so there's two I'm going to mention as my top. They didn't happen during the
Mhm.
trade deadline necessarily. One of them didn't, but it happened before the trade deadline, but not like right before. But I think it's going to, is showing itself, and I think going to be a huge game changer for the Miami Heat is Terry Rozier.
Hmm.
Trading for him, moving on from Kyle Lowry, who's already, a little bit older. They did have to give up a first round pick, but it's lottery protected. But I think the Heat are an incredible franchise. I am not a Miami Heat fan. I am an Orlando Magic fan. I'm from Orlando. Will always be true to the blue and white. But it's incredible to see how consistently great the Miami Heat stay, and it's such a difference from so many NBA franchises who are so main star dependent, and big star with another star. and I feel like the Heat are truly just a well coached team. You know, Eric Spoelstra, it's reminding me, especially if the longevity stays there, he's he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's going to be talked about like Greg Popovich is talked about, in
Mhm.
my opinion, as far as these great NBA coaches. So be on the lookout for that one to continue to ascend into a great area. One that I want to also talk about, which is a little untraditional, that did happen near the trade deadline, is the Dallas Mavericks trading for a 2024 first round pick and trading away their 2028 first round pick. What are they up to? Who do they see in the college men's basketball world that they decided let's get an extra first round pick in the docket? Now it might not be an extra one because I know that they did have to trade for oh my goodness, point guard.
I see. So yesterday, Mavs added PJ Washington from the Hornets, and then they dealt their first round pick along with Grant Williams and Seth Curry.
Hmm, give me a sec. Kyrie Irving. So I don't know if they have any first round picks left. That's what I was thinking. Sorry, Kyrie. Um, so crazy to keep up. So many movement. I feel like there's been too much movement in the NBA, especially with some of the star powers, that it's hard to know where
Mhm.
they are at any given point in time. For them to
Yeah.
really establish a brand for themselves. Like, I mean, Kevin Durant now is on what, his third franchise. So
Mhm.
a great player like that historically would not have gone to three, so quickly and still technically in a prime time uh, age. So those are my favorite. But are there any ones that stand out? Did you mention any ones that like just are like really not gonna move the needle? I feel like the Knicks one in particular. I don't think that's going to move the needle, but they did get rid of a lot of sort of, you know, dead weight money. Money.
Cap
It
space.
feels like they freed
Yeah,
up some
open up
money.
some. Yeah, yeah. And sorry to go back to the pick swap you were referring to. It wasn't the PJ Washington trade. It was the Mavs Thunder swap of picks for the Mavericks to receive a 2024 first round pick and the Thunder to receive a 2028 first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And just like a look at the standings here, I think tells us a little bit about where these teams see themselves at the moment. I see Dallas kind of on the outside looking in to the playoffs this year, and Oklahoma City in a sort of win now type of mold. So um, Gilgeous-Alexander's obviously going off, and I think they want to ride that momentum here. Uh, and I guess in that way they felt that they could deal that first rounder for next year to uh, keep the current squad that they have. I guess they're feeling good about how things are going, and Dallas is maybe not feeling so great about how things are going, kind of stuck in the middle of the pack in the Western Conference. So yeah, a lot remains to be seen. I feel like the NBA season picks up after the All-Star weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that. That's coming up later on next week. They just revealed the participants for the like Saturday night competition. I remember last year's Mac McClung like took the world by storm with his dunk contest performance. So I could share a little bit here. 3-point contest participants, Damian Lillard looking to defend his title from last year, but going up against Donovan Mitchell, Carl Anthony Towns, Trey Young, Halliburton is back up
Mm-hmm.
in the contention for the 3-point contest. So I'm excited to watch that for sure. Um, Dunk contest. Mac McClung is back, but there's only 4 in the dunk contest this year.
Mm.
So Jaylen Brown being one of them in the dunk contest, though it's kind of interesting. Um, so we'll see. Yeah, always
Awesome.
fun. I think they do the best kind of Saturday night skills competition for an all-star event. So looking forward to that. But then I don't. Do you watch the NBA All-Star game?
I do not. I don't
It's
watch any
pretty
All-Star games.
watchable. It's pretty. It's pretty much like the equivalent of the NFL Pro Bowl being flag football now. Like no
Yeah,
physicality or intensity.
yeah. I do feel there was a time that I really did enjoy the dunk contest,
Hmm.
and so that was always a big one. The Pro Bowl I never watched,
Yeah.
even before the flag football. I actually maybe the flag football will encourage me next year to. I didn't watch it this year. Maybe it'll intrigue me the following year. But with oh man, there's so much good content, so much stuff going on. It's hard to watch very like sports that don't matter. You know,
Hmm.
I feel like that's the thing. We're in a stage where it's like, there's enough sports going around that I don't have to watch that. Watch college basketball game. Women's, men's. I'd rather be doing that than watching some games that don't matter. But we're
Yeah.
we're going through the gamut here of different sports, talking about some different things. Oh my goodness,
Salud.
you never see that. You never see that. You never hear it in in podcasts. So people don't sneeze, but I sneeze.
Doing it
So
live.
we're doing it live. This is truly live, unedited, unscripted. Uh, I'm going to sneeze every once in a while, but sorry. I want to talk a little bit about soccer, the world of soccer. You're in honor of your sort of Manchester City hoodie. Premier League about to be starting. The world of soccer is going to be ballooning. World Cup hype happening. There's so many things happening. I want to talk about a little bit of a story here about Messi, Lionel Messi, and I feel like, of course, I'm like mentioning a lot of Miami sports. So, uh, the the All Star Inter Miami player. That literally took a team
Mhm.
that was so bad and just overnight made them a contender. They won a trophy in his first season. That's how crazy it is. But exhibition games. So think about this. The MLS team is traveling around the world and selling out tickets.
Crazy. Never thought it would see the day.
It's wild. It's an MLS team. It even the great David Beckham did not do that during his time in
Yeah.
MLS, where they were able to go global in international friendlies and sell out stadiums. That's what the brand of Lionel Messi is able to do for Inter Miami. But there's a little bit of controversy. A little bit of controversy. He didn't show up to play in Hong Kong, but 3 days later, he was able to play in an exhibition match in Japan in Tokyo. What are these implications? What do you think? Obviously, it could be a true injury, but are there any like political, like he's trying to make a statement? You know, what do you think here, Nick? What went
Yeah.
down? People are upset. They're asking for refunds.
And they got, I just saw this come in today. Yeah, a little bit earlier today. The fans in Hong Kong got 50% of their money back, which cost the organizer for that friendly a ton of money, right? But I think is there a political statement in that? Uh, and his not showing up. I mean, 3 days is, I'm guessing, enough time to start feeling better with a groin injury. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Have you ever had like a groin injury, Luis? They don't typically like just start feeling better overnight. But I mean, when you're messy, I feel like you could just choose to play and not play. Your body is extremely valuable, and the health of it is of the utmost importance. I feel like you can choose when to play and when not to play. And whenever you're a fan, I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm like have some blind spots here. When you purchase a ticket, obviously, it's different because Messi and Inter Miami are pretty much like synonymous. Like I can't name another Inter Miami player other than Messi.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you want Messi to be there, or else who are
Yeah.
you actually seeing? But when you buy a ticket to an event, you kind of like sign on that like he could have gotten injured in the first 2 minutes
Right.
of the competition, and the sure the disappointment would have been very real, but you would have felt totally different about this. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm in the camp that you can like be demanding refunds whenever a certain player isn't actually playing. I mean, I guess I don't have all of the details here,
Right.
um, and what he had said. And I know that they hyped up the match a lot. And so I don't know if he said like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to play," and then backed out. Um,
Well, that's the problem is the price inflation, but that's not on Messi, right? So he doesn't dictate the pricing for these matches. Friendlies typically don't include every player of a team. Now, again, this is very new for an MLS team, so everyone's on the same boat, Nick. Like, who the hell else is on the Inter Miami team right now
mhm,
besides Lionel Messi? So if he's not on the pitch as someone who, for a team that's going global, it's like, what's the point of going global? Like, Inter Miami on its own would not be a team worthy enough to be on any of these international trips. So essentially, instead of an Inter Miami friendly, it's the Lionel Messi show, right? For all intents and purposes. And so I get it, but I I have a very interesting theory because Lionel Messi also did a very political act by denying Saudi money, right?
mhm,
Like Cristiano Ronaldo's like, hell yeah, I already made a shit ton of money, but I'm gonna take that Saudi money. I'm gonna make even, turn my 1 billion into 2, 3, 4, 5 billion, in perpetuity, right?
mhm,
Just took that money, not thinking because he's a football player. It's okay. It's your right, right? Like you're not trying to make political statements. You're there to play. They're paying you to play like a
mhm,
lot of money, why not take it? But some of the commentary for why Lionel Messi decided not to go that path or even staying in Europe, he had every ability to stay in Europe as a player. He was still balling out at PSG the
mhm.
year prior. So why did he make that decision in this transition? And he had alluded to the fact that this is not an environment he wants to raise his children in, and Miami is much more of the environment he wants to raise his children in. And of course, that what's political about that, Nick? But there's a lot political about that in the sense of how women are treated in Saudi Arabia. He's not Middle Eastern. His base of line is not Muslim, so there would have been culture shock.
Yeah.
And so knowing how he just was able to turn, and he got his here in the US with the Apple deal. Like I know there was a lot of but there's no way they came anywhere close to the package he could have received in Saudi Arabia. And now, literally just a year after what I felt was sort of a political commentary on his beliefs of like, why do people go there? You know, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to show? Like their human rights. There's a lot of reasons, right? He decides to not play in Hong Kong. Okay, Reese, however so many years ago now, taken over by communist China,
Hmm.
doesn't play there, but 3 days later plays in a true democracy of Japan.
Hmm.
All I'm saying is interesting. It's interesting. I think, and this is true for everyone because I don't want to. Cristiano Ronaldo is probably a super intelligent person. Like I never question the intelligence of some of our most gifted athletes, right? They're clearly business people. They understand that they're themselves are a brand unto themselves, which is
Right.
why I am diving deeper into Lionel Messi's psyche here and trying to understand: is he making a political statement with this? Was this his opportunity to be like, no, I'm not going to play for a communist country. I'm not
Hmm.
going to do it. I'm going to take a stand,
Yeah. I mean,
but
it's
but
hard to say.
without taking a stand, right? Like doing it in a sort of
Gonna take a
just like
sit.
yeah,
Gonna take a
yeah.
sit.
I'm gonna sit this one out.
Which yeah, boycotting, if it was a boycott, is obviously a form of making a political statement. Um, I'd have to dig a little bit deeper into where all of his sponsorships are coming from and whether that plays into this as well. Because as you alluded to, really smart business people here are not going to potentially damage a relationship with a sponsor to play in a friendly football match. And if a sponsor is like, if you play here, we're going to pull out and we're not going to
Hmm.
have you on our commercials anymore, so on and so forth, that may also weigh on the mind of the athlete. So that's not to play a devil's advocate or like have like a really cynical look at um, what Messi did. And I think that hopefully by the time we have our next episode, there will be some follow up to this. Maybe he'll make a statement more than just it's regrettable. He said it's regrettable that I wasn't able to make it to this friendly match.
Yeah.
And um, I don't know, maybe it gives him some pause getting that sort of flack for not showing up about how he is so uh, front and center in Inter Miami.
Hmm.
Whereas
Yeah.
like in Barcelona or PSG, he had other stars around him who could sort of deflect
Yeah.
and absorb some of the heat.
Yeah.
But it's all about what he wants. Maybe he wants that level of attention. And in this case, it just didn't go super well for him. I'm sure in Tokyo, the fans loved it, and he was back to being the central person in that team, and and it's great. And I'm sure that makes a ton of money as well. But
Mm.
yeah,
I mean, playing alongside other greats definitely helps. Uh, he was kind of because I think this soccer football season is going to be incredible. Um, I'm a little interested that Mbappe, right? There were some reports that Kylian Mbappe, I love saying Mbappe, Kylian Mbappe, I could just keep saying it. Sorry,
it's
is
fun.
interested in it, or already has an agreement to go to Real Madrid. And so
Mhm.
leaving PSG, leaving his hometown, I mean, this is interesting because even in the reporting, Nick, there was
Mhm.
uncertainty because of how he's gone back and forth with this game. It sucks for PSG. They weren't able to sort of collect on their initial investment. There was no fee. He's able to go with no transfer. Right, he's out of contract at the end of this year, and so a bit of a bummer, but very interesting dynamics with Killian that you just don't know until the day of. It seems, and so your thoughts: will he ascend to the Champions League? Will he finally lift up that trophy? Is that the type of caliber player? Does he need to go to
Well,
Real? Is that the only option? Because Real's on fire now.
yeah, yeah. I think that you got to take in terms of European soccer a bunch of things into consideration. Obviously, Champions League is the one that they all want to win, and I would say that Real Madrid edges out PSG right now in the likelihood of doing that. And let's look at the knockout stages and see who each has and try to see maybe make a prediction there of who's going to advance. But you also got to take into consideration the league and how the competition in the French league is stacking up against
Mm-hmm.
conversation in La Liga. So um, I think in in terms of like facing the overall best competition, the move to Real Madrid is, I think, going to be an improvement there. Paris has got Real Sociedad in the knockout stages, whereas uh, Madrid has got Leipzig. So I think both teams there looking like they have a chance, definitely a big chance to move on to the next round. So yeah, just hope to see a I don't know, the super teams uh, have like seemed to be dominating soccer. I would call Man City one such super team in how they won all the trophies last year. They seem to dominate the soccer world, but then they have a short shelf life. Um, Injuries are obviously not something that either of these teams can control, but will obviously rear their ugly heads whenever uh, it gets into the more advanced stages of the season. So, Yeah, I think Mbappe to Real Madrid is all but is pretty much a done deal. So we'll see how these two teams close out their respective years. And uh, yeah, I think he's such an amazing talent. I'm super excited for the 2026 World Cup to see him stateside. Uh,
Hmm.
I know that the qualifying for all of that has yet to be finished completely, or maybe it has. Either way, um, Mbappe should be maybe going all the way to New York, New Jersey area where they just announced that's the finals championship spot for the 2026 World Cup. So
Mm.
exciting
So
times. Soccer in America blowing up.
yeah, blowing up, blowing up. Pay attention if you haven't already. Please, please, please. So that's it. That's it. I know we said Super Bowl, but I just also realized, Nick, I think we committed ourselves to not speaking about the Super Bowl. So my bad, because we that's go to episode one. The whole thing, all sports are just rolled into the Super Bowl. We give predictions, we give analysis. Any final thoughts before the Super Bowl Sunday, though?
Yeah, enjoy the game, everyone. And whenever you listen to this, I hope that you have a good Valentine's Day as well. Make something nice. Go
Make
out to a
something
nice
nice. Don't go to
have
restaurants.
to. But just enjoy all the love. And yeah, sending you all our love here from the Sip Score Saver podcast. Thanks for listening.
Catch you next time.